So, John, you at Daily Mail, you have a good deal of video.
Yes.
There's a combination of original video and aggregated video. Generally speaking, what's the mix at this point?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have a lot of work to do. The Daily Mail does globally 80 million video views a month, but that's video that we buy. So the same way that we license basically 10,000 photos a day to go into our 800 stories, we license those videos from AP and Reuters and Getty and all of those things. So that's one part of the video business. And we're going to do original video. In fact, Thursday we've got a big announcement about some moves we're going to do into original video. Where we are right now in original video is largely with Elite Daily, which is our millennial site, 70 million UVs, and they do videos that are around lifestyle, humor, dating, things of that sort, millions of views on Facebook and YouTube. So that's the original side of the video business that we have today.
The aggregated video.
It's not really aggregated.
That's not the right word.
No, it's purchased. You know, I mean,
Okay.
a big part of the business is we put more photos into our stories than almost anybody. We'll put we're doing 800 stories a day with 10,000 photos, right? So that's a crazy amount of photos. It's an average of 10, 12 photos per story. We're buying the video. So we'll do a story on a conflict in a region, or even a celeb getting a coffee at Starbucks. And the same way we're buying those pictures from Splash News and all these different vendors, we're buying the video and companioning it with the article.
And that creates, I'm guessing, a lot more engagement.
Enormous engagement. I mean, we don't...
And shareability too,
Yeah,
right?
we don't actually have any photographers. We just buy every photograph from every one of these services, and then we tell, we do have reporters on the ground all over the place, and then we just tell a very compelling story about it, and I think we lay it out in a unique way.
So speaking of that unique layout, so I must admit to not having been a big reader of the platform until you went there and I started checking it out more and more. That's your kind of influence that you bring in this industry. But here's my question. So when I first went on the platform, I noticed the hallmark of the platform is essentially summarizing the article that you're about to read.
Yes.
Almost to the point that you don't necessarily have to read the article. Right. Almost like the New York Times, you get the first paragraph or the first 3 paragraphs and you're pretty good to go. My intuition was that would create less engagement, not more engagement, but that's obviously not true,
right,
based on your growth.
Right, so the
what have you
homepage,
seen?
I mean, the homepage is off the wall. I mean, it doesn't look like anything else. It's totally cluttered, it's totally jam-packed, it's not pretty, and people love it. People love it out of their minds. We have basically the only growing homepage around. We have 1 million visits a day in the United States to that homepage. So the view is, if we tell you the story on the homepage in the headline, that's enough for a lot of the stories, but you're going to find 1 or 2 stories that you want to click on, that you want to go to more. So we don't lose engagement because you'll get 5 or 6 stories from the homepage, and then you pick the 2 that you want to go to, and then the right rail will suck you in with that recirculation mechanism, where you want to see what Kylie Jenner did, and then you want to see what Chrissy Teigen did, and you just kind of loop and loop and loop.
In your opinion, I know you don't have a crystal ball on this, but why is it that if it's been so successful for you guys, the idea of summarizing these articles as people get in, haven't there been copycats in the business?
I think there have been. Look, the New York Times was taking a victory lap on their New York Times Now that they were using bullets to summarize the thing, right? And I said on Twitter, I can't remember who, I was like, did you use the Daily Mail? They call them blobs in the UK. I don't know why they don't call them bullets. They call them blobs. I said, did you use our blobs as inspiration? And they were like, no, but great minds think alike. So they are, and actually there have been, if you look at the New York Times, the Daily News site has done inspiration from it as well. HuffPo was inspired by the Mail's homepage. So there is.
So what's the biggest...
The issue is, Jordan, that what advertisers want and what readers want are diametrically opposed on almost every axis.
Really?
Yes. I believe
often?
that. And I believe that it's the advertisers need to, and the agencies need to, be more realistic about what drives consumption and engagement and love of a product. So, for example, I've been banging on this drum about hard news. Readers love hard news. I did a survey. We did 2 surveys, actually, that proved that if a brand is adjacent to hard news, nobody thinks that the brand likes a tragedy. They understand that, obviously, as a normal human being would, that the brand is sponsoring and paying for the conveyance of news. Advertisers like very clean designs with very little content on them, very stark, few headlines, few pictures. Readers love jam-packed pages, and we have the engagement and traffic. It's undeniable that the way that we do news is the way that the readers want it. But we don't have one of these very clean layouts, which is what the advertisers want. And it's easier to fix what the advertisers want than what the readers want.
You know why they want that, or why we want that, right? for that less cluttered experience of the ad or the message, the content, whatever it is that we're putting forth at that point stands out.
But we'll do a brand lift study that shows that it does stand out, right? And what use is it having? I mean, but by your logic, then you just have very small sites with very low traffic and very high, clarity in terms of viewing the message or something.
Well, it's not one way logic to look at it. It's just it's a thought process that since the beginning of time, the best ads from a marketing perspective, whether it's being from performance or from what a brand wants the brand essence to feel like, needs to be able to have its space. And maybe with the rise of native, the idea that we're seeing things in stream, that doesn't necessarily hold
But look,
any
we
longer.
do traditional formats that, we do a giant homepage takeover, right? And we'll do the brand lift metric on that. And the advertiser having an objection to the cluttered design of our homepage, I don't think it's because it impacts their ability to convey their message, especially with the whole rails filled with branding and the top filled with branding. I think that there is this, I think people want things that, I think advertisers want things that are beautiful, but readers don't necessarily like things that are beautiful. We formed an agency called Truffle Pig with Alex from Group SJR, WPP, and Snapchat, and it is a content creative digital advertising agency that thinks from the very inception of the idea that this content will run on native platforms like Huffington Post or Daily Mail or Elite Daily or Snapchat or Facebook or Twitter, and every question is answered with, what should we do to make it work well in a native format?
Okay. One last question on this, just because we can talk about this for a very long time, but why did you, specifically you and your organization, want to get into what is essentially the ad agency business? Because there's lots that's been written and talked about how difficult a business that is to be in.
We are by our nature to some extent in the advertising agency business, because services and ideas are so integral to how you do a direct sale now. No one comes to you and says, I can't wait to buy some banners on your site. Like, that's not something I've heard for 5 years, right? Mm-hmm. They come to you and say, what are your ideas? And I love WPP. I've had a 5-year relationship with them where they taught me everything I know, and I'm not just blowing smoke. I got invited to Stream when no one would invite me to lunch. I was invited to WPP Stream. And I want my agencies to be my agency partners, and I feel like I can push the industry forward a little bit by doing this in collaboration with Snapchat, which has a native format that needs a new kind of vertical video, with WPP that wants to innovate and do new types of agencies. To me, this is actually us getting out of the agency business, but putting a little shoe leather and money to forward it, as opposed to kind of building the whole thing internally.